Hi, I'm Robert Borton, CEO of Classical Conversations, the world's largest classical Christian homeschooling community. I'm launching a new podcast, Refining Rhetoric. If you like CrossPolitic or just listen to hear what crazy stuff they're saying today, you will enjoy Refining Rhetoric. You can find us on your favorite podcast platform. I practice the 15 tools of learning by interviewing great guests, looking at current events, and talking about cryptocurrency.
Home. It's where you build your legacy, where traditions are started, seeds are planted, meals are shared, and stories are told. We are Chris and Natalie Carpenter, owners of Story Real Estate, and our team of top agents helps people find homes in Moscow, Idaho, and around the country.
Have you thought about a move? Contact us to get connected with a top agent who shares your values and puts your family first. Or reach out to us about our Moscow relocation guide.
Wherever you're looking to go, we can help you find home. Call us at Story Real Estate or visit us at storyrealestate.com and start building your legacy.
Good evening, America. It's Monday. Welcome to CrossPolitic on the Fight Laugh Feast Network. Pastor Toby, Chuck Knox.
Was that your George Bush voice? That was your George Bush voice.
No, come on, America. I've been on the job 24/7. That's 24 days a week, 7 months a year.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, now is the time to sign up for a club membership before Gabe does another impression. Go to fightlaughfeast.com and sign up today. Become a club member. You've heard it all before. New year and new you. Well, that's true for our club portal also. Our club portal
Tripology.
has some kind of makeover or something. It got a new wardrobe. This year, CrossPolitic will be dropping exclusive content into our club portal that you won't be able to find anywhere. That's all caps, anywhere else. Some of this content will include a Bible study series with yours truly, Pastor Toby.
It already includes that. Proverbs with Pastor Toby.
Yep.
Wisdom for Kings.
Wisdom for Kings. I'm actually jumping back into that.
That's right.
Don't. Some of you are like, yeah, and you stopped around session 50. But have you watched all 50? A special with New St. Andrews president, New St. Andrews College president.
This is new. This is coming.
Dr. Ben Merkel. He's like Hebrew ninja. Yeah. Our backstage content and probably some stuff that Gabe hasn't told any of us about yet.
That's true.
Just be like, hey, guess what I put in there today? And we're going to say, what? So again, head over to fightlaughfeast.com, sign up, become a club member today. And remember that that's the beating heart, the backbone of what we do here at CrossPolitic. And so a huge thanks to all of you that have already joined. Please consider joining today at fightlaughfeast.com.
All right, so Congressman McCarthy.
Oh,
he's now
Speaker.
The Speaker McCarthy.
Yeah.
And somehow, some way, Republicans elected a Californian Republican to be Speaker of that.
That really makes a lot of sense.
Somehow, somehow, somewhere.
Hey, he's from Chad Vegas's town out there in
Bakersfield. Current. This is a pretty conservative
I wonder
area.
if Chad would come on and tell us if he knows McCarthy. Because he's in the politics.
His dirty laundry.
Yeah, for real.
What?
Well, you remember Chad in that Bakersfield area, they never shut down.
That's right.
They started sending out lawsuit letters to anybody that tried to shut down.
They talked to their sheriff and some of their local politicians, and they're like, you know what we're going to do, right? And they said,
not shut down.
We're not going to shut down. We're going to go to church. We're going to worship Jesus. Yeah.
So good. And so, Senator McCarthy, he's now Speaker of the House. But before the show, me and Knox were talking, and Knox was like, I need to demonstrate how I feel about Senator McCarthy, Congressman McCarthy being Speaker of the House.
I was up until like 1:30, 1:40, along with William Wolf. We were both watching C-SPAN. I was just like, I just saw his tweet. I'm like, I'm watching it too, and so it was really weird. And I felt weird, and I didn't find anything that summarized how I feel.
And you could explain it to me,
except for this right here.
Yeah. Let's try this here. Name a country in Africa.
Oh, easy one. Wakanda.
A win is a win. A win is a win. I don't care what y'all say. A win is a win.
That's how I felt about it. I walked away and I was like,
a win is a win.
I'm not happy with the situation necessarily.
There's so many layers upon layers.
You got this white girl saying Wakanda is a country in Africa.
And then what's going on with her?
And she's like, what? They ain't no. Well, you saw Black Panther. And respect. Win's a win. A win is a win. I see. Okay, you know, you trying. We go in the right direction. It ain't always right, you know, but I can work with that. And so since we go in that direction and you trying.
The voices are messed up. I mean, it's all everything.
We gonna make it that way.
That's how you feel.
That's how I'm feeling. A win is a win.
Speaker McCarthy's speakership or the speech,
the whole,
or everything,
all of it. The speech, the whole situation made me feel like, okay, you know, we had 20 people hold out. Put some pressure on him. He's probably has no teeth. The teeth now is in the people who held out. Yeah. So the Freedom Caucus have some movement. They're going the right way, and they're doing it without a president. They're doing it without the Senate, and I'm excited about what's about to happen. Even though it's not everything I want, he's not the guy I necessarily want. But a win is a win.
So Speaker McCarthy, he's now
a win is a win.
He's now third away from the president. You know, I guess. A big deal, but not really. You know, it's happened once in the history of the country, of our country,
the world,
something like that,
the universe
of our country.
I mean,
our country is the universe in a lot of ways.
Has the speaker become the president? I don't think so, Gabe. No,
I don't.
You
don't know. I can't think. Of
Producers, you should have had that answer for me.
I mean, if you're talking about a speaker who then ran for president,
that's happened one time. That was Polk.
Yeah, good old Polk.
Yeah,
you know,
I think. Anyway,
so you're saying there's a chance.
All right, put it in the comments if it has or hasn't. If a speaker actually, you know, if a president died, then a VP died, then a speaker got it. Okay, let me know. Let me know. Okay, good challenge.
I don't think so.
Good challenge. Give me a real fact.
My money's on no.
So Speaker McCarthy, you know, gets to do his acceptance speech.
Oh,
and he kind of starts going through what he wants to accomplish. And number one on the list, I'm kind of on board with this.
Okay.
We pledge to cut the regulatory burden, lower energy costs for families, and create good-paying jobs for workers by unleashing reliable, abundant, American-made energy. I know the night is late, but when we come back, our very first bill will repeal the funding for 87,000
IRS
agents.
So
wait, why'd you cut it there? Did he really say IRS
no,
agents?
He really did.
87
Yeah.
lemonade stands.
So here's what's crazy.
We're going after all them lemonade stands.
So I didn't like the first part of that because I don't like the government. But then the second half is like, well, a win's a win.
Everything. There is that too. But I mean, it seems to be like everything rides on whether that was a consecutive list of different things they were going to do, or if he meant by cutting regulatory things, he's going to do those other things. You see what I mean? Like he's playing with some English ambiguity there because I don't want the government creating jobs.
Exactly. No,
but
exactly.
If he means I'm going to cut regulations, making it easier for you, the American people, to create American jobs, I'm for that. Yeah. That's right. But he's still, whatever the case, he's going at the first thing he wants to do is to get rid of those IRS agents. All right, let's do it.
That's I like
a win is a win.
A win's a win.
A win is a win. Wakanda's not really in Africa, but a win is a win.
You're trying.
We got a white girl trying to figure it out.
That's okay. She's trying.
We got a white guy from California trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
But here's kind of maybe more of a political question. How much power does he have though? Because the Democrats have the Senate, or they have, was it 50-50 in Senate?
Yeah, but they basically functionally,
Kamala Harris got the tie.
Yeah, tiebreaker.
And then you got the Democrats got the executive branch, and then the Republicans barely have the House.
Right, but they have a majority.
Yeah,
and the main thing that the House, I mean, the way that the framers of the Constitution designed our system of government to work is the House actually all. Money bills, financial bills, fiscal bills.
That's right.
Have to originate in the House, and that really is that's important. Yes, that is potent. I mean, they call it the purse string. Sometimes you'll hear the members of Congress saying we have the power of the purse. Yeah, that's
well. McCarthy in his talk, he actually says the way we're going to accomplish this is through the purse strings and through subpoenas.
Yeah. Okay. So, but I mean, I think that is authority. I mean, it's if the House. What we saw in miniature last week with the 20 members saying, we're not voting for you. You didn't get a majority, so you didn't get a speaker. If the same thing can happen on a broader scale with the majority of the Republicans holding together and saying, we're not going to, they're going to require the Senate and the executive branch to play ball, I think they could actually accomplish a decent bit.
Look what they did, 15 rounds before he got elected.
We're not going to give you your money. No money.
Yeah.
No funding.
Yeah.
Unless fill in the blank.
Yeah. Well, interesting. So he goes on to actually bring up China and all this.
As for the Chinese Communist Party, we will create a bipartisan select committee on China to investigate how to bring back the hundreds of thousands of jobs that went to China, and then we will win this economic competition.
So that gets into the subpoena. Investigative committee. So he's gonna actually one thing he does have, one authority measure he does have is he can appoint chairs and committees and everything. And so I think Jim Jordan is being pointed over to like the investigative committee for Biden's laptop and all this stuff. So there's so the power of the subpoena is what he's basically throwing around there.
I think those 20 did us a solid we don't know about.
Right.
I think everything that he says.
I hope I
can
can get Chip Roy on because I want to answer that question.
I think what he's saying in his speech is basically what the 20 held out for.
Yeah.
I think that's what he's communicating.
Okay.
But I got to say this. This is horrible. China's not our problem. You can't beat communism with communism,
which is what we have.
You need to free up the people to be able to create and have freedom in their own country so that they can beat China.
That's right.
Well, again, everything goes back to what does he mean by those words? Because I mean, investigate what? I think Congress needs to be investigated.
That's right.
I think like that could be what that English means.
But if you make China,
Congress investigate itself.
Yeah.
Hey, the SBC did it.
I guess I assume that's what Chip Roy wants.
Yeah.
Doesn't Chip Roy want Congress to investigate itself?
Yeah. Right.
So what did they hold out for?
I don't know. It's a clown car investigating.
A win's a
clown
win.
car.
But
A win's a win.
My point though is
a win.
Did they accomplish what they accolished?
Yeah.
I mean, did they?
Of course.
Okay.
Chip ain't moving for nothing.
Yeah. So I'm just saying. I think I'm inclined to hope that it is talking about investigate Congress.
I hope so. All right, I want to push through two things here. So this next clip, this is
just
where
like the previous Speaker of the House.
This is where you guys don't get a vote or representation.
Look, million pages. Vote now.
This is a clown car, like investigating a clown car clip. Go.
Now, speaking of committees, we will hold the swamp accountable.
Oh.
From the withdrawal of Afghanistan to the origins of COVID and to the weaponization of the FBI.
A win is a win. I don't care what you say. Hallelujah. FBI, you better look out. Well, now, look, I'm sorry.
I'm about ready to say Wakanda forever.
Hey, but you see what I'm saying, though? Like, this isn't what I want at the end of the day.
Is there a red dot?
Circling around.
I think those guys have a few red dots.
Maybe
or a shot collar.
Gates is out there.
So again, he's responsible for committees, and the power of the subpoena actually could do something here. Lastly, he's going to help families lower prices.
What?
There is nothing more important than making it possible for American families to live and enjoy the lives they deserve. That is why we commit to stop wasteful Washington spending, to lower the price of groceries, gas, cars, housing.
Thank you.
And stop the rising national debt.
Okay, I want to end this whole thing here because Knox gave his video of how he felt about the whole speech. I want to give you my video about how I felt about the whole speech.
Okay.
Help is here.
Help is here.
Help is here.
Help is here. Help has arrived.
We believe government should be to help you.
9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
There you go. That's how I feel about it.
Wow.
That's how I feel about it.
I feel you, and I don't disagree with anything you just said. And at the same time, the way that things are is messy.
Yeah.
But when in the mess, you start seeing some signs of glimmer of hope, then you want to latch onto that and say, okay, this is how we clean up. We clean up the mess doesn't mean the mess is gone immediately. That's the problem with some of the ideologues that we have in our own movement. We wanted to see the whole thing burn. That's what people wanted to see. So they didn't want anybody to make any concessions whatsoever. Yeah. Right? They wanted to see the whole thing burn. I at least like Dace was arguing about why he thinks Chip Roy is way better than him. Right? He's like, he's a good man. And so because it didn't burn, we're not happy. But that's not what the goal was ever for these guys. The goal was to try and say, how do we work in the system that we're in and force a particular situation that we don't have right now? And they wanted that. And that's why I got to say, a win is a win. Andrew DeBartolo, and I agree with you. That's such a politician. Andrew DeBartolo's up next.
I agree with everyone.
Are you going to eat that cinnamon roll, or am I going to have to eat that for you?
I was waiting to see if you're going to like jump on it.
We're going to talk about Canada's C4 bill, and what is the thing they're doing
Biblical Sexuality Sunday. This
Coming
week.
up with Andrew DeBartolo next.
Putting off writing that proposal again? Yeah, we've been there. Proposal writing can be tough. It takes work, and if you're not careful, you can set up your company for failure. Well, that's where we come in. Smart Pricing Table is an innovative application that focuses on, well, the pricing table. Instead of a static document and constant back and forth, our platform creates interactive proposals that empower your prospects. Not sure if something is needed? Make it optional. Have complicated services that vary? Let your customer do the work with line item upsells. Have reoccurring services? Easy peasy. With Smart Pricing Table, you can create attractive proposals quickly. And our system is built for reuse, so you can get out of that hamster wheel. Give your customers choice and close deals quickly with Smart Pricing Table.
Welcome back to CrossPolitic on the Fight Laugh Feast Network. Gravity Jack is a full-service digital agency specializing in the development of virtual and augmented reality experiences, mobile apps, blockchain, and Web3 projects. Founded in 2009 as the first American agency to offer augmented reality, they even patented it. Gravity Jack's digital experiences have been a source of innovation for small businesses, Fortune 500 companies, and the U.S. military. So get your vision in motion today at gravityjack.com.
And I'm also, they have a nonprofit forum, and I'm actually speaking at their conference in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
You're going to Oklahoma?
I'm going to Oklahoma. Yeah, at Oral Roberts is a business Web 3.0 conference. It's going to be a lot of fun. So if you guys are in the Tulsa, I'm talking about Media 3.0.
Okay.
And if you guys are in the Tulsa, Oklahoma, Texas area, come on up, sign up to that conference. Go. Yeah. I need to tweet out the link. But you probably Google it, Forum 12 website.
Forum 12.
So, yeah.
Hey, we're really grateful to have with us today Pastor Andrew DeBartolo. He's a Christian, a husband, a father, teaching elder at Encounter Church, and director of operations for the Liberty Coalition of Canada. Andrew, thanks for coming back on CrossPolitic.
Always good to be with you guys. I wish I could be there in person with more maple syrup, but this will do for now.
Bro, we got to talk about that maple syrup. It did not, like mine, it started to mold.
Uh-oh. That's how fresh it was.
It was so fresh.
Started to mold.
Yes. No lie.
I think did it like get like these little thin layers on top?
It just molded.
It molded like real mold?
Does Canadian maple syrup mold?
No, I think that's a you thing. It's like mayonnaise. It should never go bad. Like it should be good forever.
So
like
it's mayonnaise.
The jar of mayo in your fridge will long outlast you and your kids to 1,000 generations.
Wow.
Maple syrup.
So will maple.
Wow.
It's the same way. It should last forever.
It's a covenantal syrup.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Brown, black, we don't do mayo.
We don't do mayo.
That's not our thing.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that.
I don't know what's wrong with those people.
Okay.
Pastor Andrew, we're coming up now on the second annual Biblical Sexuality Sunday.
Yeah.
And
That's right.
Would you please give our audience a review? Why did the Liberty Coalition and other pastors start this Biblical Sexuality Sunday? And how did it go? And why are we doing it again?
So a number of years ago, the government of Canada introduced Bill C-6, which was their banning conversion therapy bill. And in the middle of COVID, it died. And the original bill, while it was atrocious, at the very least said that it's for minors only, that if you have an adult who wants to quote unquote undergo conversion therapy, that's their right. So the bill dies, and then it is resurrected in an unholy resurrection as Bill C-4. And Bill C-4 is even stronger than Bill C-6. And so according to Bill C-4, they say right in the preamble that the belief that marriage in one man and one woman, and that your assigned gender at birth is to be preferred, they say is myth and like it's mythology. And so essentially in Canadian law, in the criminal code, God's design for marriage and sexuality, our federal government says is a myth and a stereotype. So that's how it starts. And it goes on to say that anyone who engages in conversion therapy is liable for up to $500,000 and 5 years in prison. Now, they define conversion therapy rather vaguely. And essentially, it is anyone who says to another person in a counseling session or as a parent to a child, listen, Johnny, you're a boy. I know you might think you're a girl, but you're really a boy. God's made you a boy. You need to be a boy, and someday you'll marry a woman and you'll have kids together. That's engaging in conversion therapy, trying to convince someone to embrace a sexuality where their gender identity matches their physical gender. And so what we decided is we were going to say to a state that had already determined it could tell the church how to define and dictate the terms of worship by telling us not to meet and no singing, no Lord's Supper. So we said, we're not going to do that. And so we created this initiative, Biblical Sexuality Sunday. And the pitch was to pastors across the country saying, on the Sunday after it actually becomes law, preach on biblical sexuality, whatever passage, whatever topic, however you want to cover it, but essentially break the law and tell the state that they have no business defining marriage. That's God's domain, and preach for conversion therapy, not just conversion for the sake of their souls, but also telling people you must be born again, which means you must reject sexual perversion and immorality and embrace God's design for it. And so we did that last year, and we had a number of brothers in the States as well, including you guys, Josh Bice, Tom Askell, James White, Jeff Durbin, John MacArthur. A number of American brothers joined in solidarity with us. Although, given the pass of the Disrespect for Marriage Act, you guys might have grounds for your own American Biblical Sexuality Sunday too. But we did this. And so we don't have a firm number of the amount of churches and pastors that joined, but we're anticipating that between the two of our countries, probably several thousand pastors and churches joined and said, we will preach on this, we will affirm this. And for us at the time, it was against the law with the threat of punishment. So that's how it started originally. And we committed at that first meeting that we would do this every year on the anniversary of the passing of Bill C-4 until the Lord mercifully allows this lawless and evil legislation to be overturned, but almost definitely to actually do what we think Romans 13 is about, which is teaching the state how to uphold God's law and punish those who break it until such time as this law is overturned. So every year on the third Sunday of January, we want to encourage men to continue to join in this. And we know that every successive year with every new piece of legislation that's passed, it's going to be more precarious and carry with it greater risks. And interestingly enough, this year is no different, that there are greater risks this year than there were last year with preaching on this.
What are those risks? What do you mean by that?
So one of the things that hasn't worked its way through yet, but Bill C-11, which is the internet censorship bill, that's what we've coined it. The CRTC, which is the Canadian Radio and Television Corporation, they regulate information on radio and television, movies. And Bill C-11 is basically the federal government relegating to the CRTC rather vague and large power over the internet as well. And so to flex their control on the internet. And they'll say it's simply to help regulate content distributors like YouTube. And if anything, we've learned whenever our elected officials say, no, we're only just going to exercise this authority wisely and for a short period of time.
Right.
It inevitably means forever and with our knees on your throat. So the concern is that if they turn it on churches, which they will eventually, to say, oh, this sermon that you preached, it doesn't fit. It doesn't work. It's misinformation. It's against the criminal code because of Bill C-4.
Right.
So this increased legislation now kind of amps up the risk. Jordan Peterson, I'm sure you guys have heard recently, that's just one example of a bureaucratic body saying, if you don't play by our rules, you have to be re-educated. So as things like this, Bill C-21, which is not related to this Exactly. But Bill C-21 is basically our gun control legislation. The federal government is trying to ban all center fire semi-automatic rifles that have magazines that carry more than 5 rounds, which is a lot.
Wow.
So all this legislation, you layer it on top of it, and all you see is more control, more threats, more coercion. And so every time you stand against the state and say, no, thank you, you're out of your lane, all you're doing is you're increasing the chances of you being punished for it, because all they're doing is creating more tyrannical laws to rule over us as the god dad that they want to be. So yeah, it's even more risky this year, I would say.
So Andrew, you've been coordinating this through Liberty Coalition is kind of what's coordinating these sermons. Is that correct?
So we're reaching out to different men.
Yep.
We've sent them all the information. Yep.
And so what's your general feedback? Do you get a lot of enthusiasm from pastors like, yeah, I'm all over this, I'm going to do it? Or, kind of what's your feedback from pastors in Canada particularly?
So pastors in Canada, essentially all the same guys who bought in last year are in this year.
Yeah.
There might be a few exceptions because of, guys starting series or things lining up a certain way, but generally they're in. There have been a few extra guys last year who I know didn't join, who heard about the initiative, who've reached out saying, we want to participate. We want to join in as well. We want to send you our sermons. What I found, and this isn't a slam to anyone, is some of the brothers in the United States who joined last year are not joining this year in terms of preaching on it. They've promoted it. They've allowed articles and material to be published, and they've been gracious at kind of drawing attention to it. But they're not joining in preaching again on the 15th, which I understand in a sense, because really the pressure's up here. And so as a first time thing, it's a big deal. John McCarthy really backed it up. He's not doing so well. He's out of the pulpit for the rest of the month. He's not feeling the greatest, so he won't be able to join this Sunday because of his health. I know that drove a lot of it last year. So pastors in the United States have said, we support it, we're behind you, but in terms of actually preaching on it, we have less buy-in from American pastors. But we have some brothers in Europe who are joining this year, which is great. We've gone intercontinental.
There you go.
Yeah.
Is there a difference though? So I guess one would say, hey man, we're still supporting you, we're still behind you. You're not acting like you're woefully disappointed. How could they? But is there a difference that they do, even if though they're supporting it and making the same sort of noise about it?
I think there is a difference, although again, I would say in the United States, for example, there's no difference in that whether you support it, whether you actually preach on it, it's not like there are greater consequences one way or another, right? Like a certain brother who supports it, who advertises it, who shares about it, who has articles. I mean, if the heat's going to be on them, it's going to be on them. So it's not like they're, I can understand it's a little bit different in many ways. And this is a discussion I've had with guys in the last 2.5 years or so. Many ways, depending on where you are in the United States, you've been in a different world than Canada, right? You look at what's happened in China and Australia, and you're like, wow, that's crazy. And in Canada, we've been saying, right, there's been a lot of that here. So it's because it's been so different in terms of mandates and punishment that I just think it plays out different. The urgency isn't the same. I wish I could kind of shake some urgency into them and say, no, you don't understand. This is, just give it a couple years. It's coming your way too.
Right.
But it's because it's in our faces. We see the urgency a lot greater because, I mean, it's really only a matter of time before pastors start getting arrested for this.
Well, and I think, the disrespect for Marriage Act here in the U.S. to me is like just a step before what you guys are dealing with in C4.
Yeah.
And pastors need to know about it. They need to be teaching their congregations about this kind of bill. They need to be informing their people about it and discipling them how to process this.
Right. It's just preschool for the same thing.
Yeah.
Right.
So how do pastors do that? Do they go to a website there? How can they engage with you?
So the best way to learn more about it is if they go to libertycoalitioncanada.com, and when you click on the initiatives tab, right at the bottom there, it'll say Biblical Sexuality Sunday. So when you go there, it explains a little bit about what we're doing and why. There's also a form to be filled out after the fact for anyone who preaches on it. They can link to their sermon, their church website, so that we can track that we can connect them. the best way to reach out for any questions or wanting to know more would be probably to email me. It's churches@libertycoalitioncanada.com is the best place for them to reach out to me for more info. There's something else. I don't know how much time we have. There's something else this is pressing kind of thing that's just really come to LCC that's connected to this that also warrants maybe a little bit of exposure. I don't know what kind of timeline we're dealing with together here.
You got 90 seconds. Go for it.
Oh boy. So basically a student 2 hours north of me organized a walkout and drew attention to the fact that his school had transgender bathrooms and were trans affirming. And so the school suspended him because he was a danger and because certain students felt threatened. We've decided to defend him legally and support him and try to have his suspension overturned. And the school has decided to invest millions of dollars to get one of the kind of largest shark firms into because they're playing big.
They want to win.
Here. So
they want to win.
Well, they're coming big because this is a Catholic school board, which is kind of silly that they would support this, but they're investing a lot and they're coming big, and so we're in the big leagues now. So we're definitely needing support and help and prayers and people to find out more about what's going on, because this might be one of the more intense legal battles we've been a part of. And it's all because, again, he said, no, there's men and there's women. You can't really transverse the two, and there's no blending. There's two genders. And because he said that, now we find ourselves in what I'm thinking is going to be a rather intense legal battle.
All right. Be praying for you, Andrew. It's always great to talk to you and appreciate what you brothers are doing up there. I'm going to be preaching on biblical sexuality this Sunday at King's Cross here in Moscow. I know that Pastor Jared at Christ Church is also going to be, I think, in the opening exhortation, giving a word to it. So you've got our support here in Moscow, and to all of you out there, encourage you to jump on board. If you can, tell your pastor about it, find the link. Thanks, Andrew, for your work. You know, you can't always have the truckers convoy, but you can always hit the share button. It's like having your own truckers convoy when you do that. That's right. That's right. So that's right. Hitting that is super important. All right, if you're single, get married. If you're married, have you some kids. And if you have kids, go baptize them. Until tomorrow, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. This is CrossPolitic.
While God created the world, the morning stars sang together. After God delivered Israel through the Red Sea, Moses and Miriam led the people in singing. God destroyed Israel's enemies under King Jehoshaphat, while the choir sang. When Jesus was born, the angels sang, and before going to the cross, he sang. God rejoices over us with singing, and one of the only things we know for certain that everyone will be doing in heaven is singing. At New St. Andrews College, we understand that music is not an elective. It is central to our being and identity. We endeavor to train all our students in a joyful and robust musical literacy that will help them shape culture in a Christ-like direction wherever they go. Additionally, we offer the Certificate of Music in conjunction with our bachelor's degree in liberal arts and culture for students who desire extra music training beyond the regular music courses they will take as a part of the core curriculum. In the certificate program, you won't simply appreciate music or listen to it or talk about it. You will do music. You will study it, analyze it, read it, write it, sing it, and play it. You will receive private instruction in your primary instrument, as well as secondary lessons in voice, piano, conducting, and other instruments. You will receive a solid foundation in music theory and analysis. You will study music history, church music, and music pedagogy. And when you graduate, you will leave with the ability to sing, play, understand, and steward music in whatever church or community you plant yourself. I'm Dr. David Erb, and this is the Certificate of Music at New St. Andrews College.